It is 7, so we can get going.
Shut things down here.
That's a good idea. All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. We do not have a note taker today. Dan or Mark, how do you feel about taking notes?
Well, I can't do it.
You can't do it. As best you can. We can. The good news is that it is filmed, so we can always go back and fill in the gaps. But our note taker was unavailable today, and I can't run the meeting and take notes. I'm not that good.
Well, I just can't type or write.
Okay.
Extra agenda?
Actually, I brought an agenda of mine, this one came with the packet, so I'm
Oh, perfect. Thank you. All right, so we called the meeting to order. So the next thing is the Pledge of Allegiance. So everybody could stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So we have a new member on our school committee. Dan Hammock has graciously agreed to join our committee, so I'm very excited to have him with us. I've worked with Dan on a couple of other committees, so I think you'll be a great addition. So welcome. Thank you. And with that, we say goodbye to another school committee member. Eric Sem has resigned. Eric has been on the school committee for many, many years and been a part of a lot of other things in town. So we just want to say thank you to him for the years that he gave to the school committee and supporting the school in many various ways. And so that still leaves us one open seat. So if anybody else would like to join the school committee, or if you know a friend or neighbor who's a registered voter who would like to join the school committee, please have them send a letter of interest to Brian Smith at the town hall, or they could send it to me and I will get it to Brian either way. So we would like to have a 5-member board. That's our ideal number, so hopefully we can get there this year.
Can I say a word?
Can I add one more thank you and then I will turn it over to you. And then finally, I want to just thank Pam Rogers. She was the administrative assistant in the superintendent's office, and she worked also here at Erving Elementary for several years in the front office. And she really was an amazing asset to this school department. I know that she would email me when I would forget to do things or not do them in a timely manner to keep me on track, so I really did appreciate that. So she has retired and moved on to more enjoyable things, and so I just wanted to publicly say thank you to Pam Rogers as well. Over to you, Dan.
Thank you. I just wanted to say for everybody that's here or listening or watching, I waited till the last minute of the last day before I turned in my application and my letter of interest, hoping that somebody else would want to participate in town government. And this is a big part of town government. It's like 2/3 of our budget, and we're responsible for the education of our kids, to get them the best education we can, while being responsible to the taxpayers also. And I didn't come here with an axe to grind to anybody or any particular agenda in mind. I plan to listen, learn, understand, because in life, if you don't understand the question, the chance to get the right answer is just about zero. And there are a lot of moving parts. We have school committee, brand new superintendent, which is a great opportunity with new ideas. We have the staff, the teachers, the administrators, collective bargaining, and the finance committee and the select board, moving parts. But if we can grease those parts a little bit, or oil the parts, so they work together well toward a common goal, good education, reasonable price for taxpayers, the best we can do. I don't have all the answers, that's for sure. I don't even understand all the questions, but I'm willing to give it a shot and try to be helpful where I can. And I have a positive attitude. I want to quote this guy, Napoleon Hill, like around the turn of the century. He said, anything that the human mind can conceive and can believe, they can achieve. So if we want to work together, we can, and things can get better than they have been in the past. So thank you. I look forward to good experience for everybody.
Excellent, thank you. And finally, I just want to welcome officially our new superintendent, Shannon. This is your first in-person official sitting at this table
Yes.
meeting. Although you've been here all summer long working, you know, I'm happy that you're here, and I'm
Thank you.
excited to, as Dan says, kind of turn the page and start a new great school year and move forward.
Great, thank you, I appreciate that.
So welcome.
Thanks.
All right, with that, we have a little bit of a reorganization to do, and then we will get to public hearing. So the reason the reorganization is just because we lost Eric, who was on some subcommittees, we've gained Dan, and so it's an opportunity to see if we want to reallocate some of our subcommittees to Dan. So, with that, I'm just quickly looking, I believe we have the, go ahead.
It's written in my scratchy
Excellent.
handwriting. Do you want me to?
Yeah, oh, I thought that's what you were asking, you know, kind of referring to.
So, as chair, this
so-
was the last one, so. we need to
Yes,
go
I'm
forward.
sorry, so we are going to do the ones that Eric was a part of.
Just those,
Yep,
okay.
because we need to reallocate those.
I don't see him on any except the sick bank at that point, because I think he was thinking whether or not he needed to be on, he needed to leave,
Yep,
so.
we definitely need the sick bank. So Dan, would you like to be, are you interested in becoming, so the sick bank is for employees of the school who have gone through their sick days and have a catastrophic illness or injury and need to dip into what we call the sick bank, is a collection of sick days available that meet certain criteria. So there's a committee that is formed to look over that, look over the paperwork, make sure the process is handled properly.
I'm willing to learn that. Sick bank committee?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. So I will make a motion for Dan to join the sick bank committee.
Second?
All right, and you've accepted that? You're good with that?
Yes.
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right, so we're gonna add you to the sick bank. We may bring this up again. Caitlin's not here, and I know she had some thoughts on things, so we may also bring this up again at our next meeting, in case we need to make some more changes at that point. So with that, we'll move into public hearing. Do we have anybody for public hearing? Nope. All right, moving along. We have approval of minutes. We're going to approve June 18th, July 2nd, and we will come back for July 25th and August 7th. So we're tabling July 25th and August 7th. We'll be voting on June 18th and July 2nd. We can take them individually or together.
I move that we take them together.
Okay. Any objections? Okay. All right, so, and are you making a motion to approve?
Yes, I make a motion to approve them
All
together.
I'll second. Was there anything that we needed to, anybody see anything we needed to adjust? Anything for discussion?
I wasn't here, so I don't know that I should
Well, you
vote on this.
you can, but I mean, you're voting as written, so
Okay.
you are available, you are able to vote. All right, not seeing any other discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Good. All right. We have some warrants. Again, we can take them individually or as a batch. We have warrant payroll 126, 101, and 102. Vendor invoices 1044, 1045, 1046, 1047, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, and 1101, 1122, and 1121. You take them as a batch?
I
Anybody
move
have
we
a-
do the payroll warrants as a batch, and then consider the other ones.
Individually, or as a
Mm.
batch?
Maybe do them in batches, like
Okay,
payroll, then the regular vendor, and then secondary.
okay.
That's 3 different ones.
Any objection?
Did you start with 44 and 45?
So we're gonna start with the payroll ones?
Okay.
126, 101, and 102. We'll vote together as a batch.
Thank you.
I move. Do I need to say it again?
You just make a motion to,
I move that we approve warrants 126, 101, and 102.
I'll second that.
okay. Any discussion on that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so did you have a,
I move that we approve vendor invoices 1044, 1045, 1046, 1047, 1001, 1002, 1003, and 1004.
as a batch?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. All right, so, motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and that leaves individually or a batch? Do you have a preference?
I move we approve secondary warrants 1101, 1122, and 1121
As a batch?
as a batch.
Okay. I'll okay, I'll second that. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, we're up to gifts and grants.
No gifts or grants.
No gifts or grants. All right, report of the Gil Montague representative. Come on up. We're on H, Keelan, when you're ready.
Thank you. Yep.
My name's Jen Icorn, the Gil Montague representative. So there were several meetings over the summer. Most recently, there was one last week. There was the after-school program has been reinstated. I don't know if you had heard that in the news, but they originally found out late August that they wouldn't be receiving the grant through CES. It was based on a scoring tool that measured the effectiveness of the 21st century funded program with a required minimum score. The minimum score was 70. They only had a 68.5. However, the superintendent reached out to the town and was able to work with them, and they were able to secure $75,000 in funding with the approval of the select board and the finance committee, and then they used $25,000 in their choice revolving to round out the funding. Right now, there's 432 students currently enrolled in 6 through 12 at Turners Falls and Great Falls Middle School. 152 students are participating in the athletics programs. The music program has 166 enrolled, and the theater program is beginning its tryouts for the production of Mean Girls, the musical. And there's many new additions to the district this year. So for the principal for the Turners Falls and the Great Falls Middle School is Sean Ricken. The interim principal, Hillcrest Elementary School early childhood coordinator is our very own Mackenzie Bailey. The assistant principal, Sheffield Elementary School, the elementary therapeutic coordinator is Kristen Dietz. The director of teaching and learning is Heather Maynard, and the new athletic director is Jen Luciano. And that's all I have for Gil Montague. Do you want me to do regionalization, or wait till we get to that one too?
Are you?
I'm done for Gil Montague, yeah.
But are you giving the report or no?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, oh, well then.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, does anybody have any questions about that report?
Nope.
Okay, then, yep, let's
Okay,
just.
fantastic.
roll it on.
Thank you. So I did give you guys the executive summary of findings. So I'll just kind of give a brief overview of that. Basically, the reasoning on why they're doing the regionalization is a larger enrollment will allow for more offerings of courses. It allows increased flexibility in scheduling because more students would be able to go ahead and take more sections. It also enhances and expands athletic sport programs. It is also strengthen visual performing arts programming by enlarging band, chorus, and art classes. It's also going to diversify and expand extracurricular activities, including clubs and memberships like the National Honor Society. And as far as finances go, the two of the representatives met with Senator Joe Comerford recently on September 5th to kind of advocate for state regionalization, transition funding. So they met with her, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that at our meeting on Thursday. I think that's all I have for that. Thank you.
So, just before you go. Sure. So, for everybody at home, because I should have been clear, what Jen just was reporting on was the regionalization update. So we shifted the agenda items a little bit just so she didn't have to walk back and forth. Were you also going to give the tech?
That's just Jackie. Sorry, yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
I think she emailed it to you guys, though, right?
She did.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Caitlin or Mark, are you able to call that up?
I'm trying.
I think I have it. Yeah. You want me to read it?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So the Franklin County Tech School, there was Franklin County Fair News that was shared. So 32 students participated in the parade, with every shop being represented. 20 staff members donated their time to man the FCTS booth at the Dole building, and they contributed to the fairgrounds with new planters at the fairground entrance, and there was a water feature this year, so that was thanks to the tech school. There are currently 653 students enrolled. There are 177 freshmen, 168 sophomores, 151 juniors, and 156 seniors. There are 60 seniors already out on cooperative learning in their trades in real-world situations. There are 202 students that are participating in fall sports, which is 31% of the student population. Ninth graders are doing their mini exploratories with half days in all shops. The CAD instructional program is back for 10th through 12th graders in landscaping, plumbing, electrical, and carpentry. The veterinarian science building is complete and students are now using it. The aviation program is up and running. The aviation hangar door is being installed over the next several weeks, and FAA approval of the curriculum is expected by December 15th, 2024. There are several new staff members that have been hired, including a curriculum director, an assistant principal, public relations, 2 carpentry instructors, electrical instructor, and an aviation instructor. And there are 4 adult programs by the CTI, which is Career Technical Institute, being offered at Franklin County Tech, which includes welding, auto technician, electrical, and horticultural. There we go. MSBA update, they are getting ready to advertise for a request for services for design services, and that is it. That was a lot of information. That was really helpful.
Thanks. And then while you're there, do you have a collaborative for educational services? I'm
So-
sorry, were there any questions about that
sorry.
report? Sorry, before we move on. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
The next meeting, which starts off the season of meetings, is September 25th at 6 p.m. So next Wednesday.
Okay.
So after that, I will have an update. Do a lot of like reorging and kind of just starting off the year fresh.
September 25th?
Yep.
Okay.
And they're still doing the hybrid model where people can be online or in person.
Okay. Let's see, capital planning committee update? Have you guys met?
Yes.
Yeah, there was a meeting.
This is not the updated. Let me pull up the updated agenda. Because there's some stuff that we are going to talk about, but I want to make sure we word it right.
Okay. Do you need a minute? Do you want me to come back?
Yeah, if you wanna, I'll pull, I thought this was the other minute. We don't have a copy of the other one, right?
Sure, we can come back. So we'll rearrange to have the superintendent's report and then we'll loop back,
Perfect.
okay?
Sure. All right. So what I am going to do, I'm going to present my entry plan. It really outlines, it encompasses what I've been doing since I got here and what the first 100 days is going to look like. So I'm going to come up here and sort of bob back and forth a little bit as I maneuver this. So the purpose of the entry plan is to outline what the first 100 days are going to look like, just like when we talk with teachers about the first week, 6 weeks of school, set the stage. In a leadership position, the first 100 days really set the stage. I'm going to outline what my process is, what I'm hoping will be the outcome of that, and then a timeline for what that looks like. I kind of already said that. So it really is going to focus on listening and learning. The union is a very unique place. I just came from a superintendent's conference today, and there were only a handful of unions in the whole state, and they're like, so tell me what now? You have 4 school committees in 4 different towns, and so it's a lot to learn. I've been found everybody very welcoming and very happy to share their ideas and thoughts about their town, and so that's sort of where I'm at right now. I'm going to develop a plan that is consistent with my values as an educator that I've shared from the time that I was interviewed, that students are the focus and they come first, and that they are all our students. Relationships are important to the work of leadership. This can't be done in isolation. We have a collective responsibility for collaboration, and that is critical to moving any district forward, and that families are an essential educational partner. So I've sort of said the first 100 days, I've been meeting with a lot of people, and I've been looking at a lot of other sources of data, collective bargaining agreements, trends in student performance, program reviews, facility reviews. I've met with selectmen. I've gone to, I think I've hit 3 of the 4 towns for selectmen's meetings, and really trying to get a lay of the land, so to speak. That's still coming, but I'm really hoping to answer these questions. What are the strengths in our schools and communities, and what are our challenges? What must we protect or sustain within our schools? What are those touchstones, though, that, yes, change comes and we're moving forward, but we have to have this because it's central to our town and our identity? Where are opportunities for growth? What are our opportunity achievement gaps? So what students are not getting what they need, or where can we do better? And when we think about the next 5 to 10 years, where do we see our schools and the union, and to try to plan for that. So this entry plan really started in March. I think I came to my first school committee meetings, not just here, but in others, in March. So from March until the end of August, the official start date was July 1, but we have hired 2 principals in the union at Leverett and Shutesbury have new principals. We have a new director of student support services. We have a new administrative assistant to the superintendent. I have attended school committee meetings, select board meetings. We had 2 summer staff retreats. It's a little bit of a misnomer. It was a work session, but retreat just sounds a lot better when you're asking people to come in July. I have enrolled and begun participation in the new superintendent's induction program. I today was in Marlborough and then came right here. It was a requirement of my employment, but I'm really glad it was, because there's a lot to learn. And I was struck by, I thought, oh, isn't that nice? I'll have this nice little cohort of all the first year superintendents. How many could there be? It's a small state, a lot. And that's been really, really great. That will meet every month for a day. Met 3 days over the summer, 1 month remote, 1 month in person. I joined the Superintendent's Roundtable, both for Franklin County and for the Greater Western Mass. I'm hoping that will help me navigate snow days efficiently. I have a mentor assigned through the Mass Association of School Superintendents. I've met with them. I've met with the central office team. Right now, we had a great opening day. Erving hosted the entire union in this building, and it was a lot of change for a lot of people, but it was great. And it was we were here for the full morning, and it was a chance for them to work with their peers from other schools and really network. And we got a lot of positive feedback about that. I will say that could not have happened without the central office leadership team, because they did a lot to make that happen. And I've been a part of the safety meetings in each school to try to meet with the emergency response personnel from the schools, from the towns, and I think it's important as a superintendent that I know, so what do we do when there's a fire drill? What does that look like? And who are the response people? And so I don't know that I'll need to do that every year now that I've kind of gotten an idea of what happens, but I did take part in those in every school. So now I'm in phase 2, and I'm starting to set, like, what is it gonna look like, how we do school here now in the union. And so we've set up some regular meetings with our central office team and our leadership team. We've started classroom walkthroughs with the principals and with the leadership team. We were here in Erving on Monday, and we're able to visit every classroom with our curriculum director and our director of special education. So that was great. Starting to coordinate with towns around capital improvement needs and projects, of which Caitlin's going to talk about. Erving is going to be involved in that conversation. Try to develop a process for regular communication, not only within the union staff, but also with families. Review student performance data. MCAS data is just being released right now. It will be available to the public about a couple weeks, and starting to look at that. And look at, present my goals will be presented in November. So after I've done all this, I will be presenting my goals after doing some of this digging in the dirt sort of thing. I'll present a formal report of, so what did you learn? In December or January, that will be a written report. What are some emerging themes? I know sometimes when we're in our schools, we think some of the themes are only us, but I'm finding that some of the places where people are asking for improved processes are not unique to one town. They're really across the union. And that's it. And that's why I'm tired. So I'm happy for questions or if I can clarify anything. And right now, obviously, we are involved in, we've just started the principal search for Erving Elementary. It was posted yesterday. I'll be honest, I was a little thought, gosh, what are we gonna get for a mid-year appointment? And we have 5 applications in the first day. I've not looked at them, so I'm just telling a number. I'm not saying anything about the applicants themselves, but that was good to see.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got.
Excellent, thank you. And do we have a sense of when the school improvement plan will be?
So the school improvement plans, I think they'll be done probably early October. You'll probably get a copy of them at the October meeting.
Okay.
And just to clarify, the position that's being posted for principal is to end this school year, and then will there be another posting like March, April
Yes.
for next year?
Yeah, I haven't firmed up the timeline, but I'm thinking we really want, I mean, there are some challenges to being a small school. And so I think being out sooner, it's not a surprise. We know we're going to have it. The wording was very clear in the posting that the person is certainly eligible to apply, but that this position ends at the end of June.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
And then,
It was comments and questions. I'd just like to make a quick comment.
absolutely.
Thank you. I've watched some of the school committee meetings over the past couple of years and been involved in understanding budgets, things. And to me, this is a breath of fresh air. And I'm particularly pleased with, similar to what I said, take your time, listen, learn, understand, set goals. And you get a collaborative agreement to work towards some goals, we can get there, wherever it is we're going. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just have a final question. When do you, and so this is a bit far off, but relating to the principal search, let me phrase it this way. Can you be thinking about the process that you're going to take to do that principal search? And so you don't have to answer right now. So I'm just saying, like, and so we'll revisit it, kind of midwinter, and have a longer conversation about what that process will look like.
Sure.
Great.
The posting ends October 15th for the interim.
Right. No, I mean for the
Yeah. I can present, I can give it, yeah. I would think probably in November, December, I'll have a timeline. I'll be able to see what had worked with this process as far as time, and we'll take it from there.
Great. Thank you. All right. Were there any? I don't see anybody looking for the question. All right. Moving on. So we're gonna loop back. Caitlin, are you ready for the?
Yep.
Okay. So we're gonna go back to the capital planning committee update.
Perfect. Okay, so of course I don't have the exact date written down. That was nice. So we met last month, and we had a guest speaker, Mickey Bush from Eversource, present on a audit that they did of the school. And basically it was an energy audit and how efficient our systems are working. And then from that assessment and that audit, and they did a walkthrough and they saw all the things over the summer. They have 2 suggestions, if we were interested in moving forward with them, to make the building run more efficiently energy-wise. One option was like partial kind of updates, and that was, where'd my amounts go? That was around like estimated $1.4 million. I'm rounding up. And that would be leaving like boilers and leaving some of the systems that we have and then making updates to other systems. And then the suggestion with a full replacement of all the stuff to be more efficient was close to $2 million. So those were kind of 2 suggestions that they had. This was just to kind of see where the building is at, what work is suggested, where we could improve, what changes we could make. And then the committee asked if we could actually have another kind of look or quote into what, and this was like kind of replacing some of our systems and making them more green. And I think do they call it electrify?
Yeah, they wanted to electrify
the building. Partially electrify or fully electrify. But we kind of said, okay, that's great. And what would it be if we just updated our current systems that we had? So if we wanted to keep boilers, but brand new boilers if they were needed, keep the way that the heating and cooling is, but maybe update the systems that are out. And so kind of making it like a new, refreshed, updated version. So that was something that the committee asked of the other committee members that were working on some of these quotes to look at that as well. And with that being said, that's all about kind of like the HVAC and the heating and cooling. We also know that our roof is in dire need of repair. And so that was a conversation of, if we're gonna do all this work to take these systems off or replace them, putting new systems on a faulty roof doesn't seem to make sense. And we had people on this committee, we have people from different departments within the town and school committee members, so we're kind of all talking and everyone kind of was in agreement that like we can't do one without the other because it just doesn't make sense. systematically. And so for those of you that don't know, this roof, half of it is one age and the other half is another age. And in addition to that, there are a bunch of patches all over the place, and it's still leaking no matter where they're trying to put the patches. And because things are flowing and moving and things that they've tried, they still haven't been able to pinpoint where those leaks are. And some of them are really significant and in really kind of dangerous places, depending on how much is coming in and what's being used and stuff like that. So we had talked about, we heard that audit information. We discussed on what these capital planning projects are going to look like. And so there was talk of possibly getting different organizations involved that have grant opportunities. And so let me just see if I can find. One is MSBA, and another one is the Green Communities. And so we are not guaranteed money by them or from them by any means, but they do have opportunities that we think that we would be eligible for. So Caitlin and Brian Smith are working together to kind of see what possible funding sources are available, and then kind of looking at what this could cost as a whole. We just need to remember that even if we want to go through with this, that we don't have guaranteed funding. We're going to do our best to kind of look at that and see what we can get, but we always have to keep that, thought on the back of our minds. They also talked if funding is a certain amount, there might be options for like a financial advisor and loan recommendations and how the town could support in this project. So there's just a lot of moving parts, but we were able to really identify that the roof needs to be done and the HVAC needs to be done. We talked about making it into a phased plan. So maybe we start with one and we go into the other, and maybe there's other parts that get us to this finished final project. But we know that there are a lot of pieces and moving parts, and we just have some work to do on that. So with that being said, and Mark, I'll let you speak on just that stuff first, do you have anything on the roof or anything?
No, what I was going to add was that the audit turned up a number of smaller things that could be done in specific rooms where the heating, cooling was uneven and such. And
yes.
There were some specific pieces of the equipment that were identified as needing adjustment so
yeah.
There were some changes that were needed or to be made within the existing systems in place. And I think the discussion really tended to say the all-electric proposal or even the partial electric proposal was probably not going to work. And that we would have to do something other than that. But we'd have to see where the funding comes in, and essentially when we get into the project, what condition the roof is in, structurally has to be assessed.
Was it not working because the cost was too high, or it wasn't feasible for the way the building is, or the?
We're not sure it would solve all the problems.
The cost is also significant. It was not I don't believe we really felt that it was Caitlin, you want to throw your 2 cents in? I mean, that was my sense, was that the cost essentially was prohibitive to go all electric.
Yes, and like Caitlin said, I think it wasn't really going to solve a lot of the problems we're having. We'd still need to have a lot of replacements for an aging system, but the electrification scoping study did show what we could do if we went fully or partially electric, and it was interesting information, but I think the group decided that there was no decisions that were made, but I think we were after it leaning towards more looking at how can we fix the system we have, and then possibly looking towards electrification, things later that will help with efficiency. But when we looked at the scoping study, we're not in terrible shape when it comes to efficiency with the system. We're actually kind of trending above average. We're doing okay. Our problems are more with components of our existing system breaking, and needing a lot of repairs.
And there were like individual adjustments on certain equipment that could be made and needed. And when we were looking at their study and then looking at a map of the school, we kind of said like, oh, when they say room, blah, 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 that's actually this same room that so-and-so was complaining about. And so they said, maybe if you adjust the, I don't know, they were using the technical terms of the equipment, but like,
controls.
yeah, if you adjust this, and then we kind of identified like, oh, we don't have someone that is necessarily in charge of adjusting that. So then how do we outsource or find someone to help support us in at least just making those adjustments short term to better, get the air going and where it needs to be.
We did schedule a meeting.
Yes.
For, next month.
So,
So
the
October.
capital planning committee, we were asked to bring forward our recommendation, and we are recommending that we continue to move forward with working with the town and coming up with a plan and working on hiring an engineer and an OPM. And the OPM would be someone that can work through all of the phases, and we will reserve the right to have control over when certain projects start and stop. But they're going to be the ones that are going to look at the project as a whole and say, okay, yes, your roof needs to be on and it was leaking and now there's structural damage, or there's not structural damage, or, kind of like go through what is going to be required of us to start and end this whole project. So the recommendation is from the capital planning to move forward with this, and it was shared with me that we need to vote on that if you're okay. Like the whole committee needs to be in agreement to move forward.
Okay.
So I can make a motion, right, to that we move forward with working with the town and working on hiring an engineer and an OPM to kind of look over this project and see what those phases would look like and those tasks would be.
So you're making the motion for us to just move the process forward, but when will we have a sense of what the cost of these?
Once they have to hire someone that does all this work before, there's a lot of things that have to go in place. So we won't know costs until we have someone hired that then goes through the process, and then they will
Right, no,
provide stuff.
I'm asking about the cost of the person that we're hiring.
That is the same of they have to put it out, and it could vary. Right?
So-
There's not a set cost until we.
We don't have a cost for it.
Yeah.
Is the capital planning committee saying that cost will come out of our budget? It'll come out of the capital planning budget? It will be a bit of both? What?
We have not determined that, and I think it probably depends on what that cost.
What were you gonna say?
Unless.
We do have a little bit of money in the IVAQ grant dedicated towards a feasibility study that we can use. That needs to be obligated by December 31st. So if we were to move on it, that's potentially a use we could have for that money.
Okay.
How much money do we have in that account?
So the grant was for 100,000, but 91,000 of it was towards rooftop units once the feasibility study was done. So it's about 8,500, 9,000. So it gives us a little bit of money to use.
But will we have a use for that 91,000 before December 31st?
Probably not. This is going to be a slow-moving project.
So can we reallocate the 100,000 to be more instead of the rooftop?
Potentially. But we'd have to work with ask Desi. I guess essentially we're going to have to ask him if we can amend it towards more of that. But the grant was for air quality and ventilation, so we have to just make sure that we're under the parameters of the grant.
And I'm wondering if some of that operations stuff of tweaking it would fall under that. If it's not actually buying new stuff, but hiring someone to actually go through the system and make those changes and tweaks to improve that. Is that far-fetched?
Everything's worth asking.
Okay.
Oh, and just for clarification, the capital planning committee meeting was on September 5th.
Thank you.
Okay, so a motion has been presented by Caitlin. Did we have a second on it?
I second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We jumped the gun a little bit and had a little bit of a discussion ahead of that. So again, just so I'm clear, so we're voting to move the process forward, and you're having a meeting in October. Do you have a date set for that?
Second.
The 2nd of October?
Yep.
Okay, so you'll be able to report on that meeting at our school committee meeting, and with the hopes that you might have a little bit more information about this process.
And its cost.
And a thought about the cost. I mean, there's gotta be some way to have a general idea of what these people cost, before moving too far down the line.
I mean, what I will say is we're getting to the point where obviously we have to look at costs, but at the same time, we have to do this project.
Sure.
So we have to look at, like, at the, you know, as a whole, yes, this person might cost anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000, and we really are gonna have to do our best to find that, to support that, because the longer we keep putting this off, I think the more issues and problems we're gonna end up having on the building.
Agreed, it's just the where are we finding the money from is the thing that I wanna kinda nail down a little bit more. So
Perfect.
hopefully at the
I wrote
October
that down.
meeting, you'll be able to have get a little bit more clarity on that. All right,
Yeah, I'm in favor of moving along with the project, but not so far that we're spending money that hasn't been approved to be spent from any way yet.
right.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think we can move money or use money without voting on that. So I think that's like we'll keep coming back and asking, you know, and discussing and voting and just keeping you guys in the loop for sure.
Right, yes, that's true. Okay, so there's a motion and a second.
I was just gonna ask Caitlin, would you be able to find out the parameters of that DESI, the ability to use any of that funds before that October 2nd meeting? I think that'd be important for us to know when we go to the capital planning, what we can, how much we can use of that.
Yep.
Thank you.
And I do know that the capital planning committee has said before that they want to support us with this, but what as much as we can bring to the table, obviously, is desirable to them. So, I just want to know, what do we have to bring to the table for this project? So, once again, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Was that everybody?
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. So then we also talked about really briefly, because we were already very far into the meeting, that we all wanted to go home, that we're looking at the roof and HVAC as a capital planning project, but we also know that there are other things that need to get done in this building, and we don't want to just move forward with and focus on the roof and the HVAC, knowing that there are these other projects, because if we forget about those or put those to the side, then those can also get worse. So we're kind of having two buckets of projects, of one that is going to be over a certain monetary threshold where we're going to need a lot of support in different ways, whether it comes from certain people that we're hiring, putting things out for bid. Like, there are going to be processes and procedures that we need to stay in compliance with the state. But then there's also smaller projects, like I think we've mentioned the blinds probably every single meeting that we've had for the last 3 years. But those kind of things, like playground updates, blinds, doors, entryways, like there are other things that have been brought to our attention that there are some things going on. So we're also looking at and working with the town and with Caitlin and with this capital planning committee to navigate those avenues as well. So that was another conversation in addition to the HVAC and the roof. And then another conversation that we had, where I just want to bring it to the committee's attention, or the school committee's attention, and it looks like it wasn't put on the agenda the right way, so we won't vote on this tonight, but something to think about adding for our next meeting if we wanted to. This capital planning subcommittee of the school committee is a newer way to approach capital planning projects in Erving. So it was kind of established, I think, last year. Does that sound right? And by establishing it as a official subcommittee, it then has to be posted in a certain amount of time. An agenda has to be created. We have to vote on stuff. Like, it's very more official and formal. And so there was talk of, does the school committee want to keep it as a subcommittee where it's very formal and organized in that kind of way? Or do we want to change it back to a planning committee where there would be representatives and it wouldn't have to be posted every time we meet? We wouldn't have to have meeting minutes and we wouldn't have to vote on stuff the same way. I think there's pros and cons to either side. I think by the end of it, we felt like keeping it a subcommittee with the big projects that we had probably makes sense for right now. But that whole change of how the dynamic was and what the requirements were was a newer information shared with me. So I just want to make sure all the people on the school committee understand that this is a true subcommittee and that we still have to follow like public meeting laws, and it's posted and there's agendas and minutes and all that fun stuff. So if at any point we decided that that wasn't working or we needed to make changes, we then could bring it back to the committee and say we'd rather it be a planning committee where we wouldn't have, you know, certain amount of people in attendance and have a quorum and all that stuff. So I just wanted to bring that to the whole committee's attention, and if there were, you know, thoughts or concerns or questions around that, that we just keep that as a conversation if it needs to happen.
I'd like to see it as a working group, since the majority of the people involved are not school committee members. It's capital planning, finance committee, select board, town manager, and then it's two of us from the school committee. So to make it an official school committee subcommittee, all these other people in it are, I don't know, they're not as, they have more to say in many respects, and more influence than we do, because since we're not, we don't have as much of a handle on town-wide finances and town-wide monies. And I think that would take away some of the need to get things posted, go through all the steps of having an official meeting, but I'm open to either way of doing it.
So it's not on the agenda, so we can't vote on it, but just maybe we'll bring it back to October's meeting and get that wording on the agenda. So if we wanted to vote, we could. And maybe we can talk, like, you can kind of think about it a little more and reflect on what makes the most sense. But that is all I have for capital planning.
It's a lot.
Great, thank you. And I appreciate you guys having your meetings before our school committee meetings so that you can report back to us. All right, so we are up to the Director of Finance and Operations.
So over the summer, we had a visit from Janet McKenna from the Massachusetts Department of Labor Standards on June 27th at Swift River to review our building and asbestos plan. She was traveling around. We don't get many visits from them, but I think it had been quite a few years. So after the visit and she looked at Swift River's plan, we kind of made a plan for the rest of the schools to make sure everyone's in compliance. On July 29th, she returned to Swift River to give a training on the Asbestos Hazard Emergency Response Act to all Union 28 custodians. Eric Harris and Bill Fisk and I attended the training, and we earned our AHER certificates. I don't know if it's AHRA or if you're supposed to say the letters, but we have those certificates. So now we can kind of look through, we have a binder with the asbestos plan if there was ever asbestos, and making sure that any materials come into the school are either certified to not have asbestos or that they have to be tested to make sure that they don't have asbestos. I'll be attending the MASBO Professional Development on September 25th. The programs include successful fiscal strategies for transportation, lessons learned during recent collective bargaining sessions, overrides, success and failures, SEL and its significance for pre-K through 12 public school students, and DESE's supplemental low-income data collection. The FY23 end-of-year report audits were completed by Markham and sent to the state just in time for us to complete our FY24 end-of-year reports. That deadline is September 30th. I'm in the process of wrapping up the Erving Elementary and Secondary report. I'll have it available to you at the October meeting to be able to review it and sign the certification page. And the audits, because we had one last year, but since you are a single school municipal district, the end of year report audits only have to happen once every 3 years. So we get a little break for 2 years of audits, and then we'll be back in it again. The first draft of the Union 28 FY26 budget was sent to the Budget and Personnel Subcommittee about a week ago. We met last night and discussed the budget, and with the committee's approval, I presented the budget to the Joint Supervisory Committee at the JSC meeting just after. So we're in that part of the year where I'm looking at audits for the FY23 end of year report. I'm finishing up the FY24 end of year reports. We're in FY25 and we're budgeting for FY26. So it's a nice span of 4 years of information and a lot of scrolling and going to different years in different schools. I've listed the expenditures from the expenditure report for the elementary and secondary. And I will mention with the blinds, we have had a few blinds replaced that couldn't wait until a capital project. So I believe one's in the office, a classroom, and the nurse's office also have been replaced, which has actually been helpful because it's given us sort of an idea of what we're looking at for the cost of blinds for the entire school, which I think we'll need over 90 of. And so estimate, I don't know how much, if the smaller windows are significantly less than the bigger windows or if they're the same amount, but as sort of an estimate of what that project will cost us will probably be around $40,000. Any questions about my report?
So the $40,000 request could be submitted in November for the town to go move forward on capital.
Yes.
We need to keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
No, I was going to say the Union 20 budget came out and there were questions. I sent them to you as an email and you answered them, and we moved forward. That meeting I appreciated that.
Did you want to share what the questions and answers were?
There's a bunch of details, just asking what certain amounts meant and didn't mean, and why this number and why that number.
Okay. All right. Principal report.
Principal's report here. So we have a current enrollment at Erving Elementary of 113 students, ranging from, we have 11 in pre-K, and our largest classes are of 16 in grades 3, 4, and 5. We've had some new hirings here. We have 2 paraprofessionals, Lexi Galvin and Elizabeth Chagnon. We have a new adjustment counselor, Leanne Loomis, a new art teacher, Vanessa Kirby, and a 1-year music appointment for Angela Haynes. Upcoming events: School Picture Day on the 26th of September, open house on October 2nd from 6 to 7, and October 18th is the Union-wide Curriculum Day.
When is the open house?
October 2nd.
Can that be emailed to us? Just, we didn't get a copy of that.
I was
Oh,
gonna say, so
okay.
generally we ask for a copy to be put
I-
in the packet.
Yep, I will.
I was just looking to make sure I hadn't missed it.
Did you get a hard copy in the packet?
No,
that's
that's what I
okay.
was I was shuffling just to make sure.
I will
before
have
said
it,
anything
I
that
will
didn't miss
email it in the morning.
Thank you.
And then going forward, if we could just have it to go in the packet. Thanks.
And I will take, that may have been on me because he sent it directly to me. So
No worries.
I'm sure I was supposed to hand it off.
Okay, so that brings us up to the report of the Erving Teachers Association.
Here at Erving.
And if you could just talk really loud because we have the hum of the milk thing.
Okay.
So,
We just have some association information to share. New executive board members as of July 1st. Elizabeth DeSorger is our president. Steve Kazmarzik is our vice president. Jim Hansen as treasurer and Beth Flaherty as secretary. There will be a variety of members this year who will be the speaking member and share about what's happening at our school. And we are currently in the process of voting on our updated bylaw proposal. And that's all I have.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm new here.
Yes.
I didn't catch your name.
I'm Wendy Arnold. I'm a reading specialist here.
Wendy Arnold?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
okay, B&P committee report. Was there budget and personnel meeting?
You're talking about the Union 28 budget and personnel meeting? No, or, that's the only budget and personnel meeting.
Yeah, okay. Union 28, Union 28 committee report. I think they mean the joint supervisory? Yeah, I think it's just a misprint. So the next Union 28 Joint Supervisory Committee meeting is November 18th. That'll be remote. Old business, Shannon, this has been on our agenda just for the last like year and a half now. So if you want to just give us probably, I'm not sure we need to keep it on for every month, but maybe just a final, or maybe we'll check in every so often, but on the 7D van driver.
I don't have a lot to add right now. It seems to be working. I
That's
feel
an
like I
update
should
in and of
knock
itself.
on everything. Yeah, it seems to be working. We're still, I mean, we're only a few weeks in, so I think there's still some unknown. We'll have to figure out, like, we haven't had a cancellation for illness yet, so we're, we'll navigate that, but
And they
it is-
ran all summer, or most of the summer too. right?
they ran for the duration of a summer program. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that was the whole thing. Caitlin, do you have more to add to that?
No.
Okay, I didn't know if you were
Ran
waving
for
me
part
down.
of the summer, but I was gonna, the success of this program of running our own transportation really depends on the driver we have, and I'm blown away at just how consistent and dependable that she's been so far, and it's been really a success right now because we hired the right person.
Wonderful. Can you, in school spring, just reactivate or, kind of re-up the ad for van driver subs?
I think it's still current, but
It's still,
Yeah, sometimes it, kind of goes down the queue.
are we transporting all of the kids that are out of district, or only one, or, what's the?
I think we are transporting just one right now, correct?
Transporting one right now, and then when we
Develop, it becomes consistent and we have some months under us, and then we can start to look at, especially because we have a new student support services director, so we can look at if we can incorporate them and still or put students together and still be within the commute time that kids need to have.
It would be good if we could get both of them.
Absolutely.
At one time, they were transported on a single vehicle, but not under us, as I understand it.
I think one school changed, though. I think that was the change. I could be wrong, but I think one school changed, one placement, so I wasn't officially on board, but I believe that's when they decided to go with one because it was going to be a little bit tight with the second location.
Okay.
But I believe that's accurate.
For the, for the October meeting, Shannon, could you check in before the October meeting? Can you check in with the new
Yep.
director?
Yep, I will get an update on how many times and if we're ready to think about adding.
We'll need to be thinking about that, not quite yet, but soon for budget too.
Yep.
To adjust our budget now that we've had a little bit of time.
Well,
Go ahead.
On the van driver question, it's on the web, it's on our website, but could we do a newspaper post for a substitute?
I'll put an ad in the
Yeah,
newspaper.
because that would hit more local individuals that might be interested in being a sub for it.
Yeah.
We can.
Also, we always have the around town newsletter. It's always great to put those in that one as well. That's free. So we might as well use it.
Sorry, it looks like we did post it in the recorder. I only know because
We did, yeah, over the summer though, right? It's been a while.
Yes, I mean, the invoice for it was from September 5th, so it was probably ran over the summer.
Yeah. So it might be worth just running it again. Just capture anybody lately. Anything else about the van driver before we move on? All right. So we have the signature of the warrants. So I would like to.
Hold on, 1 second, sorry. The new agenda has,
The annual reorg comment about school committee, we don't have the new agenda posted, but this was something else that I requested that it's at.
We had reorganization way up at the top.
But there's also like old business update, because we had a conversation about it in
Oh, yes.
May or June, because why we did it, and so I got some history and just
Yep.
information to share with the committee.
I do remember that, and you're right, it isn't on this version. Go ahead.
Okay, so, every year we seem to reorganize the school committee in June. And that was done because elections happened in May, new members were put on it, and then they usually attended the June meeting. However, the town has shifted that timeline, and so elections are in May, but new people don't start in their new role that they were just voted in on until July 1st. And so we're reorganizing in June with not necessarily all the members. And so when we last reorganized, it was Mackenzie, Mark, and I that were there. Eric was on it, and then we might have like added him to something, but really I think it was the three of us that kind of like took on all of those roles just because we weren't sure what that was going to look like. And so I don't know if it's just a recommendation and we know it for next year, or if we have to make a policy, or I don't know the exact procedure of that, and which is why I'm bringing this up, is that maybe if this is the way that things are going to go moving forward, that July 1 is going to be when the new people can start, that we just have like a quick meeting after they're kind of officially in July, just to do that reorganization. And the only reason why it was suggested that we do it in July versus September is that if things come up over the summer, it's hard if we don't know who the chair is and who the vice chair is and all that stuff. So we could look at it at a couple ways. We could do a reorganization in June and just pick like, you know, the chair and the vice chair, knowing that they're the ones handling those conversations and we're not going to have those other meetings during the summer, and then we can reorganize again in September. Or we can just reorganize in July, and then obviously if people come and go, like we have to take that as it comes, but at least we would be more of like all the members that are responsible on that committee, and then subcommittees and all of those can be divided evenly, because I feel like now that we have Dan here, we have to go back to that again. And so it's just a lot of reorganizing and a lot of going back. So however we want to do that, but I did want to let the committee know that I did investigate that, kind of find out what that history is and why we are doing that. And it's kind of been what it used to be. And now moving forward, we might just want to reorganize in a different way with a different timeline and not follow the norm that we had in the past, because we kind of end up reorganizing, I think, a lot more than normal.
Yep. Yeah, and just so you know that because we did this before you had arrived, we took the committee that Eric was on, which was the sick bank, and voted Dan on it, but because you weren't here, I said we would reorganize in October,
Okay.
just so you could be there and be part of that conversation. Because,
appreciate that.
you know, we do have, the three of us do have a lot of committees, and so that would allow Dan to share in that fun. I agree, though, the timeline of doing it in June no longer really fits our needs. So we certainly can look at that going forward.
Yeah, I'd like to look towards September, but we don't have we'll wait till October to decide.
Yeah. I mean, we can vote it now. I mean, we're gonna do it in October anyways.
Then let's talk about it in October.
Okay, so thank you for that
Yeah.
information, and so we will put that on the agenda for October. So back to the signatures for warrants. So we had talked many months ago about moving to a DocuSign platform for signing of the warrants. It's difficult to get here during school hours to get the warrant signed. So I would like to move forward with the process of moving to a DocuSign platform for the warrant signatures.
Did we ever find out? Oh, yeah.
So I'm just gonna ask that we just hold off 1 month.
Until we have kind of firm clarity on.
From the town.
Yes.
Okay.
I have asked several times. It was being looked at by the town attorney, and my guess is just that there's been other more pressing issues that have come up in the meantime that they've needed to attend to. But we have asked several times to have the attorney weigh in on that.
So I know this kind of we've been having this conversation, but I think it also stemmed from the warrants being signed like in the last hour on one of the months. And I think what some of that confusion was as well is we always had two people that were appointed as like the signature people, and then everyone else was kind of a backup, and then those people, if they couldn't sign it, would let us know. And I think because I'll just speak for myself, I thought the two people had it and hadn't heard that it hadn't been signed until like the night before. And then I was like, oh, I was there, I could have done that and I'll do it tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I think there was just a little bit of a miscommunication of, oh, I hadn't heard anything, thought they were signed, and then as soon as I found out they weren't signed, I made sure I was here. So I think I don't know if at least if we hold off for 1 more month, if we want to have like two definite people that are like, okay, yes, I will come and sign and I will let you know if I need help, or how do we want to do this? Because I feel like I don't want to take time out of my day to come here and find out that they're all signed, but I'm more than happy to come here and sign them and be one of those people because I have access, I have a little more flexibility in my schedule if no one else, has that.
Yeah, so I just want to say, just for clarity's sake, that we can have 5 signatures on it. We have to have 2, but if you want to sign it and you're the third person, by all means sign it. So I would say if you're available, just go ahead and sign it.
Okay.
And just put out in the group text or that it, one signature down or however many are on the, but everybody can sign the warrants. It doesn't have to be just the 2 people that have been kind of designated to it. Everybody has the right. And
But the
should
2
be
is the
looking-
minimum, so I think we
2
weren't
is the
even hitting
minimum.
minimum, and that's
Yep.
where some of that confusion came from, is we had the 2 minimum of like, yes, I'm always here, I will sign them, and anyone else can come look at them during the week, and we weren't meeting that threshold because of, some changes going on.
Right.
so.
I just want to make sure everyone else is clear, though, that at any point, you all can sign the warrants. And you should be looking at the warrants. They're, what we're spending our money on. So it is good for everybody to look at them.
Well, I will always sign them. It's easy for me. I get the emails. I've got it down pretty pat. And I'll always get in and get them signed.
Okay.
And I can even transport them for them if they need it.
Yes, they're available where and when to be reviewed?
You'll get an email saying that they're available.
Okay.
And they're sitting in a box out here in
I
a
can show you on the way
folder.
out. It's right outside the
Yeah, they're
big
there
window.
today. So you can,
Well, yeah.
oh, you got them?
Yeah, I do. Yep. So, all right, so sounds like we have a good plan. I'd like to put this on the agenda for next month so we can move to that, looking at that platform. All right, moving on to surplus equipment. I know I had asked to have surplus equipment on here because we had signed and purchased a whole bunch of new snow removal equipment, and the question was, what is happening to the old equipment? And there wasn't a clear answer as to what's happening with that. So is it becoming surplus equipment or not?
Yeah, so what I'd like you to do tonight is to vote to move the old snow blower to surplus.
Just one?
Just one.
And so the other equipment that was bought is not replacing anything, is adding to the fleet? What, because
We
there was
had
quite a few.
one old snow blower and we purchased two, so that both custodians, when they're here, when we have a need for snow removal, are both able to snow blow at the same time.
And so we still have the attachment to the tractor being used as well? You know that? You may not know that. It's okay, you don't know that.
I know there's a tractor that helps the snow removal. That's about the extent.
Okay, all right. So we at least need to vote on a snow blower at this point to be surplus.
So I moved the old snow blower be moved to surplus.
If, does that
Deemed
need to be
surplus.
listed out?
Sorry,
Does it need to be listed out as we're discussing and voting
what do you mean?
on the agenda?
It's on the agenda, surplus equipment. Oh, it doesn't say vote, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you're right that it doesn't say vote. Let's take the vote, and if there's a problem, we can come back.
Okay. I just
don't- what
wanna
else
cover
would we
all
do
of our
but
bases.
Vote on it. It's kind of, that's, other than just finding out we have it.
Right.
I don't really, so that's what we would do. We would vote on it. Shannon, can I add something more to your plate? Can you just maybe take an inventory and see what else we have that might be needing to be surplused? We do a lot of purchasing, so I just want to make sure that we're surplusing out things that we're purchasing new.
I will meet with the custodian. I'm not sure I would know exactly
Yeah,
what,
I know.
but I
Yep.
can certainly.
I didn't expect Caitlin to know either. I
Yeah.
just thought she might.
I did talk to the custodian about surplus.
And I asked if there was anything else, and he said, no, it's just a snow blower.
Okay. I mean, we have IT equipment, we have, I mean, there's lots of
Yeah.
things in this building
I
that we
can
may,
can certainly ask about that.
and we also have a storage container. Is anything in there deemed surplus? So at the moment, we're surplusing, and by surplusing, just so everybody's clear, that means that we deem it surplus, it goes to the select board, and they will vote that it is surplus, and then they will do, if there's any monetary value to it at all, they have like an auction platform that they use. If there's no worth to it at all, then they can dispose of it in whatever way makes sense. So that's what we have to do when we have equipment extra. So
Do I have a second on my motion?
I'll second it. Thank you for bringing me back to where we were. Any further discussion about that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Was that everybody? Caitlin, you quiet down there?
Sorry.
So a snow blower. Great, pie report. Would you hand that down to Caitlin, please?
Thanks. And I had it up, great. I have too many tabs, sorry. I was just gonna read what I had posted in Class Dojo. And where did it go? It's because I pulled up another report. Okay, let's see. Let's try this again.
Do you want me to come back to you? I can do
Well,
that.
I mean, it should, I was literally just on it. I don't understand sometimes. I think it signed me out. Okay, here we go. So Pi has not met this year yet. And for those of you that don't know what Pi is, it was formerly known as the Erving Elementary School PTO. This year, unfortunately, due to unexpected circumstances and some miscommunication, we did not sell our mums this year, but we do have some new fundraiser ideas and gonna try to open up the apparel store sooner than later, so keep an eye out for that. And then just sharing that we are super excited for another school year, and as always, thank everyone for their continued support with our fundraisers, with volunteering, with donating, and we are always looking for new families to join us. So our first meeting is going to be virtually on Monday, October 7th at 7 p.m. and the link will be shared as it gets closer. And we also plan on having flyers and information out during open house on October 2nd. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to stop by, grab a flyer. We'll try to put that out in the newsletter as well and just kind of share what we are, what we do, and stuff like that moving forward. So,
Can you give me the date again?
yep, October 7th at 7 p.m.
7 at
virtually.
7.
Yep,
Okay.
it's a Monday. It's usually the first Monday of the month. And of course, the first Monday of the month with September is the holiday, so that's why we ended up not having that one.
Okay. All right, so we have some policies. First read on the staff relation, CCB, staff relations, EBB, first aid, EEAE, school bus safety program, and EEAEB, drug and alcohol testing for school bus drivers. So first read, so all we need to do is just be reading through those. Those will come back to us. We have a final vote on AA school district legal status, BB school committee legal status, and BBAA school committee member authority. So we want to just take a look at those. Those we will be voting, final vote on today. You, the policy didn't meet this one.
Policy did not meet, so
Okay.
there's nothing on staff, nothing to move forward other than, but the final vote ones have been with us for a while, so they can be voted on.
Yep, excuse me. All right, do we have, we'll just take them separately, just so we can have a chance to talk about each one. So, make a motion to approve school committee policy AA, school district legal status. This is pretty, standard language.
All seconded.
Not too much to this one. Is there any further discussion on it? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, same with BB, pretty standard, just legal definition. BB, school committee legal status.
Just want to comment on both of these. These are ones that are statements not only of policy, but they are restatements from state law.
Right.
So I'll make a motion to approve BB school committee legal status.
Second.
Any discussion on that one?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And BBAA, the school committee member authority.
Make a motion to approve BBAA school committee member authority.
Second.
Again, this is pretty standard language.
It pretty much just says, if one person is saying something, they're only speaking for themselves. And you can't speak for the school committee unless it is the school committee speaking and, or you're appointed specifically for some task.
To be the spokesperson for them. All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. As I said before, those first four will come back to us for a second reading.
I'm going to make a comment about the two bus ones. I reached out to Kosmeskis, and they are they overlap and need some kind of statement that says, that the school bus safety, drug and alcohol testing, and our policies don't supersede theirs, and theirs don't supersede ours. I mean, because they do, both the bus companies, state law, and our policies all say the same thing, pretty much.
Okay, and thank you for reaching out to them. All right, we have an executive session on our agenda to discuss collective bargaining. At this point, we do not have any updates, so unless somebody feels differently, there is no reason for us to have an executive session tonight. We will be voting on our executive session meeting minutes in October, so we'll have an executive session then, if not before that. Okay, all right, so our next school committee meeting is Tuesday, October 15th at 7 p.m. Erving Policy Committee meets before that at 6:30 here. So if you have any questions about any policies that we've talked about here tonight or moving forward, that's the time to bring them up. Does anybody else?
I just have a question.
Sure.
Process questions. I'm kind of new here.
Yep.
In the event I have a prior commitment that I cannot change, is there a possibility that I can participate remotely, or is that not a possibility here? How do you do that, or don't you do that?
Yeah, so that was actually brought up a while ago too. I will have to check back in with Otis and how we tape it and record it, tape it. Record it. So I don't have an answer for you tonight, but I can get an answer.
Okay, 'cause if I can't be here, if it's possible to participate remotely, I'd love to. If it's not allowed or can't be arranged, then I just can't, so.
I think there's some state rules on mixed meetings.
Yeah.
I think that's the major issue. I mean, seeing it, you can always observe it,
Oh, yeah,
but
he can't interact.
But interacting is,
Yeah.
we gotta be one way. I think at this point, we're only allowed to be one way or the other.
I know that there's something, I'm just not sure what it is, so let me find that.
Yeah, if you're willing
An
to
official answer about
ask the
that.
town administrator or
Yep.
somebody, and I'll go with whatever they rule.
If it is the October meeting, just know we will give you all the subcommittee meetings. You don't show up, you get them all.
Wonderful.
All right, so, welcome, Dan. All right, if nobody else has anything, we will adjourn, so 8:27, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you all for coming out.